So you want to borrow the tropical forest bathing vibe from Japan. Specifically, if you want tropical, you need to look to the Ryukyu Islands. So you're thinking Okinawa, which is a really good fusion of traditional Japan. This has been Japanese owned for a long time. Also, because of its proximity to China, there's also Chinese influence and also the original Ryukyu people. So it's not pure Japan as such, but they do lean heavily into the traditional Japanese garden principles. On Okinawa, there is just one certified forest bathing forest. Yeah, they actually have certified forest bathing sites in Japan. They take it that seriously. So it's Shinrin-yoku. As you probably already know, the idea is not just about being in a forest, it's about really engaging the senses, like textural, like you might rub your hand across some bark. Obviously visual, because you've got the light filtering through the trees in that way that you don't get any other way than through the tree canopy. And you also have the sounds of the bird song. I can hear some bird song now. And the smell, like that earthy kind of resinous smell quite often of the humus and the soil, like a rich soil. So yeah, really engaging the senses. So Yambaru is the only certified place in Okinawa. I didn't do a very good job of forest bathing there because I was quite reliant on the sat nav actually, because I was trying to find a waterfall, which I didn't manage to find, but I was too reliant on my phone. It's better if you can just put the phone away and really engage in the forest. It's well documented about the health benefits of forest bathing, and I will link to a video that explains the science of it in the description field. What I did notice when I was in Yambaru is they have a load of cyathea, hence you can replicate this in your own garden depending on your hardiness zone. I can get away with them in London really well, which is a joy because I love a tree fern and they're much more sustainable than the Dicksonia antarctica, which have issues where they're pulling up 200-year-old trees from Tasmania and then they're slapping a green stick on them and putting them on for sale. That's not really cricket. So Cyathea cooperi, or other cyatheas, if you can find them and if you can get away with them with your climate zone, then they are a fantastic alternative. I have several of them in my own garden, and I keep talking loads about tree canopy because I'm just really into it at the minute. Because for me, and I know I'm always banging the same drum, it's about, if you're in a garden, then you really want to feel immersed in it, which is the reason why I want to get the plants up and down these new fences as soon as possible. But there are other gardens and there are other green spaces in Okinawa which lean into the principles without being certified forest bathing sites. One of them is the Royal Gardens, which are absolutely fantastic actually, and they're gorgeous. Basically, it is like tropical garden forest bathing, because of the selection of the trees. Bear in mind it's a royal garden, so budget wouldn't have been a problem when they're selecting these trees. Again, these fantastic Chusan palms, again influenced by China. You can see that in the architecture of the buildings that they have there, the little pergolas and so on. What is apparent to me is that as soon as you enter the space, you can smell the pines and so on. How does that map across to your own garden? First thing would be the tree canopy. If you're wondering how to create a tree canopy quickly, I've got a video for that, which I will also link to in the description. But it's important also to have the layers as you would find in nature. So as well as the tree canopy at the top, you will then need a shrub layer. And then I would say also an extra 2 layers. You will need a layer, ideally a layer around sort of thigh or knee height, which I like to call the perennial layer. And then the last layer to really create the effect would be the carpet cover layer, the ground cover layer. Although worth mentioning, in a true sort of forest setting, that can be quite scant because of, depending on the level of shade that you've got. So one of the big things about forest bathing is the fact that the plants are emitting feel-good hormones, and we are picking that up in our olfactory gland at the top of our nostril, which is the base of the skull, and that kind of goes back to the amygdala and reduces our cortisol levels and helps us to feel calm, which is why, even without knowing anything about the science, people get a really good feel-good factor of being in a forest or a wood. Some plants are better than others at emitting these particular hormones. Pines are really good for it. To borrow the ambience, it's nice to include some pines. I've got in my garden the patchouli pine. I've also got the white Mexican pine. I've got Pinus brepo and I've got several of the Pinus mugo, which is the small dwarf one, which is a really nice one actually. If you haven't got space to have a full-scale pine due to small garden constraints, then that's a really nice one to go for, Pinus mugo. It's a dwarf one basically. And some conifers are good at putting this out. Cryptomeria japonica globus nana. That's a really lovely looking textural plant. You can put one of those in as well if it's going to suit the conditions of your garden. Another specific plant that you can use is the Calicarpa, of which there's a couple of different types, also known as the beauty berry. That's a native Japanese plant, and that's a good one for the sort of understory, like shrub layer. On a personal note, when I went to Okinawa and entered the forests and stuff, I thought, wow, this is it. This is how I can fashion my own garden, because I love the principles of a Japanese garden. But I also love tropical plants. So my idea is to have a fusion of the two and just marry some of the Japanese principles for the look and feel of a garden. Bearing in mind the feel part of look and feel is often overlooked. I love the idea of peace of a forest garden, but also actually I really like the idea of a sense of mystery, because to me that's quite interesting. So essentially this is what I've used for a blueprint for my own garden, and certain you can use it as a blueprint for your garden. So yeah, perfectly possible to create a forest bathing garden in your own space. It helps obviously if you already have some mature trees that you can lean into, because obviously trees do take some time to grow, and to benefit from all those health and well-being aspects so that you can really enjoy your garden. Like I said, if you're wondering how to create a tree canopy quickly, then you can always watch this video that I made earlier.